Hey there, this is the Small Fish, Big Podcast, a show for the gallus few who dream and do. If you're a small biz owner, a creative freelancer, or someone dreaming about leaving your 9-to-5, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll chat with an inspiring guest who will share their entrepreneurship story before we delve into a discussion about running a creative business. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Small Fish, Big Podcast. Today I am joined by Denise Strohsahl, a brand and marketing consultant for small businesses and a fellow adventurer at heart who has also moved over from another country, albeit from Germany, to start a business here in Scotland. Hi Denise, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Hi there.
Hi. So Denise, can you tell us a little bit about your business, a little bit about what you do?
Yes. I'm a brand and marketing consultant, as you just said. For small businesses, I focused on small businesses coming from a corporate background and basically help them define the message and get in front of the ideal customers they're targeting. I've also been blogging about marketing tips and advice and everything since 2013, so that's part of the business as well. And I do this all without resorting to the annoying and pushy marketing tactics we all know so well. So that's basically my focus. Lately, obviously, I've been focusing on helping my clients to put their businesses online, to keep in touch with their audience online in spite of the lockdown that we're currently in, and obviously also reaching out to past and existing customers just to keep in touch and just to be able to hit the ground running once this all goes back to some kind of normal.
That's great. And I should have prefaced the episode actually by saying that we are in the midst of a lockdown in the UK, because I know a lot of people will be catching up on these episodes at a later date. So Denise and I are recording this on the 13th of May. We are 2 days into week 8, I think, if I'm correct here, of lockdown in Scotland, and businesses have really all had to adapt and make big changes. So it's an interesting time to be a small business. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of putting it. It's been interesting, but also a little bit, just a lot of businesses, a lot of my clients, including myself and you certainly as well, just had to shift and had to just reevaluate how to do business and what we're doing, which might open a few new avenues, but also shut a few doors. So let's see how that turns out.
See how it goes. And on the note of having to adapt, this podcast is being recorded virtually so that we can comply with all of these lovely and safe social distancing measures that are in place. So if you notice that there's a little bit of a delay in the audio or it cuts out at any point, apologies for that. We are making the most of a tough situation and recording via Zoom. So thanks for bearing with me too, Denise. Hopefully we can get through this before the internet disappears on us.
I'm sure we can manage.
The way of life these days. So now that you've told us a little bit about your business, will you walk us through your business journey? How did you get to where you are today? Is this something you always knew you wanted to do? And tell us your story.
Oh God, yeah, I try to keep it short. It's basically, if you had told me 12 years ago, let's say, that I would move to a different country on my own and set up my own business, worked for myself, not having any security as you have as an employee, I would have probably just looked at you, raised my eyebrow and just said, yeah, right. This was not planned at all. I wouldn't have thought I'm the type to do it. Turns out I was wrong. So it all started, I studied languages. I'm quite good at languages. I just went to uni and carried on studying what I enjoyed best at high school. And that got me into a position where I thought, it needs to be something with writing or languages in any kind. So I looked into journalism. I did an internship with a publisher and found out that that's not quite for me. You also have to have had, I think, internships since you're 12 with a publisher or newspaper in order to ever get into journalism, turns out. So what I've done is just several internships to figure out what I wanted to do. And the second internship immediately after the journalism publishing internship was in marketing. It just happened. And that was basically the moment where I thought, yep, that's me set up for the rest of my life because this is what I want to do. So I got into marketing and copywriting basically through what I was doing at uni, through my jobs, and had a few little jobs while as a student for small local businesses, helping them out doing, now I'm showing my age, direct marketing, like, you know, the printed stuff.
I remember that.
Sending out really cute small local businesses that were just taking care, so much take care of the customers. That was really fun. So we were sending out direct mails on a regular basis, doing events and all that. And I helped them do it because it was usually the owner, maybe an apprentice, and that was it. So I was just helping out as a student and doing all the legwork, and basically learned everything from scratch by doing that. Then I finished uni. I had one job, literally still only had ever had one job, if you say it like that. It was not directly after uni. I was still, I think for a while, I was freelancing as a copywriter until I found a job. But that was in a large corporate environment. The company that I worked in was in 100 different countries, I think. So it was huge. My boss was in London, and my boss's boss was in the US. So it was a completely different organization and operation, obviously. But it was really great to learn everything from scratch. I started out as a copywriter, which was called marketing assistant, and then worked my way through all the hierarchies, per se. So I became a marketing assistant and marketing manager, so moved more into the marketing position of the whole thing, and ended up being a creative director, which sounds awesome on the CV and looks really nice, is not what it sounds like, at least not on client side, so not at an agency, but on a client side in a company. I ended up being responsible for the marketing output of the whole of Germany, of more than 250 products.
Wow.
I was responsible, not myself only, I mean, I can only do so much copywriting, but I had a team of copywriters and graphic designers, obviously freelancers, agencies were helping out, and I had to coordinate all of that. Now, exactly, that's project management. That is not really being creative. Although every now and then, on top of all of that organizing, I was obviously then asked when, you know, the flagship product had a new campaign, or I needed to come up with something new for an advertising campaign for our biggest product, then I had to do it. So I was not just coordinating everybody else, but was then asked, oh, well, you're the creative director, can you do that? And they also put me in charge of the brand. So I was the one who, everybody who had a logo, put a logo on something, everything that was in our corporate design went through me and over my desk for me to sign off if it actually followed the guidelines, as if I don't have enough to do yet. So it was really great to learn everything from scratch, like really big volume marketing and big budgets and every kind of marketing you can think about. But I ended up not just being a project manager, I ended up not being creative anymore, not writing, or only writing under pressure, under time pressure. So I don't know, I started looking for a new job and started looking for new opportunities, but everything kind of seemed the same, just somewhere else. And what really happened then was that I happened to come up with the idea, well, my English could be better, like my conversational English could be better. Yes, my bosses were in London and I had to do presentations. So I could talk about marketing, you know, to save my life, but small talk, German's not so good at it. And then the whole thing in English, not easy. So I thought, well, why don't I spend 2 weeks somewhere nice where I have to think and speak English the whole time? And I found out that you can take extra annual leave, paid annual leave, in order for, you know, the training and development and further education. And I spent 2 weeks in Edinburgh with a Scottish host family. I spent my days at a language school that kind of looked at me when they heard my English and thought, what are you doing here? But it was really quite good just to learn how, you know, how to say hello or ask, you know, for directions and everything. If you're not used to that, that's not what you learn at school. So I was here for 2 weeks, and funnily enough, I loved it. I think I called my parents twice in that time. And when they picked me up at the airport, when I came back, my dad just looked at me and said, well, thanks for coming back, because the way you sounded on the phone, I thought you would make us pack all your things up and just send them straight there. And it was just like, what are you talking about? At that point, I had a really great time, but I didn't really think that is anything I would ever plan, like, in where are you taking this from? A week later, I had caught up with my dad. and said, yep, you're right. I actually really want to go back. So at that point, it wasn't about running my own business or where am I going to work next. It was whatever I'm doing, I want to do it in Edinburgh. And I wanted to do it in Scotland. And that came completely out of the blue. It was not planned. I would have never thought that I'm the person to do something like that, to just, leave all the security behind. I sold my car. I got rid of my flat. I got rid of all of my belongings, my furniture and everything, put everything into 2 suitcases and 1 large backpack. And that was it.
Wow.
So, yeah. And the way I ended up running my own business was almost as serendipitous, I think is the word you want to use here. I was looking for a job. I thought if I just find a marketing job, then I can get over there to Edinburgh, get settled, and then take it from there. That was 2008. That was possibly the worst time to ever want a job in marketing in Edinburgh, because obviously the credit crunch was happening. Everybody was let go, especially in marketing, sales, and PR for some obscure reason. That's always the first thing they let go when they, cut the budget. So a recruiter called me from Glasgow and said, stay where you are. If you don't have a job, don't come to Scotland. So I was saying okay, then I need to find a different way. I need to come to Edinburgh. I want to move there, but how am I going to do it? So not being able to find a job, not having any contacts here, or a few from my time at the language school, I had stayed in touch with a few people there, and they were putting me in touch with others, with friends here locally. But I got a coach. I made a deal with myself. I'm going to move to Scotland, and if I can't find a way on my own, I'm going to get help. So I got a business coach, I think is the official word for it. And he basically just sat me through and put me through my paces and asked questions and kept me thinking. And while I was still getting in touch with people, so I got in touch with marketers in Edinburgh. I got in touch with Germans who are also in Edinburgh, just to, kind of pick their brains, see what it's like, and just to see what the industry is like. And one of them is a German who runs her own tour company.
Oh, wow.
So she moved to Scotland 5 years before I did in the end. And we met for a beer when I was here visiting in Edinburgh and really got along like a house on fire. So the first thing she did, she said after the first pint, was just like, well, if you can't find a job, you could always work for me. And we both kind of heartily laughed at that at first. 2-3 months later, I was with her on one of her German-speaking tours, going to Islay on a whiskey tour, just to, kind of intern on it to see if that's something I would want to do. And she wanted, obviously, to have a look if she can let me loose on tourists. And it took about a day, and we just both looked at each other and just said, yep, let's do this. This is amazing. So suddenly, I came back from Scotland for the first time outside of Edinburgh and just loved Islay and the whole West Coast and everything, which I knew I would, and came back to my coach and just sat there and just sat in front of him and just said, okay, I know we've done all of these things and we talked through all of my work and what I want to do and what my plans are, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move to Scotland. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for work, but I have the opportunity to work as a tour guide for German-speaking tours throughout the first summer. That should set me up with some money, and then I can take it from there. And then I thought, well, if I'm being freelance as a tour guide anyway, which is how you work as a tour guide here, then I might just as well, try this freelancing again, be a copywriter, be a marketer, do something like that. And that moment, my coach looked at me and just basically deflated and just said, thank God, it took you 2.5 months to get to this. And he just laughed and he just said that, like, really from the first meeting, I thought you were perfect for running your own business. You were perfect for why don't you just do your own thing? You're organized, you're self-motivated, you know what you want, you know what you're doing. So why not? And it took you so long, and it took him so much effort to not say anything, to let me come to that conclusion myself. So I think we just laughed for half an hour about that, because it just felt a little bit like, so the obvious thing. But yeah, I really didn't plan this, but this is basically how it all started. I was always marketing for me. It was always copywriting for me, because I'm really a language person. And I love putting things into words and find the right wording for conveying somebody's brand, somebody's idea, or just, attracting the right kind of people, just finding the right words so that people that are like-minded and just agree and on the same level, basically, just nod the whole time through and just love working with you. And, but yeah, up to that point, but it just all happened. I had never planned any of this. So I did move to Edinburgh.